We're so excited to have Deb Bruce here with us this week visiting. And Deb has been instrumental in our Solex University Phase 1 training. And as she's helping putting the finishing touches on it this week, she agreed to step away for a moment and talk with us for this weekly update. So thanks for being here.
My pleasure.
You know, it's not just instrumental in Phase 1. She's been instrumental in every aspect of the AO scanner with the reporting and how to connect the dots. And so you're going to see a lot of her in Phase 1 and 2 and 3. But like Shelby said, finishing touches go on this week. Phase 1 is done. But Shelby, you got some questions, right?
I do. I have some questions for you. Now, Deb, she knows all things AO scan. Wouldn't you agree with that?
I would agree with that.
Yes, she is an expert in AO scan. And so we've had a lot of questions over the year and a half we've been doing this. One of them is reading reports, okay? We've had a lot of people not sure how to read a report, okay? So a few questions on that. The first, this person said they did 3 consecutive scans.
Okay.
And they're showing in each scan the same, do I want to say issue, come up each time. After optimization, it still is showing in reds. What would you say to that?
I would tell you that since it's reading frequencies in the body and the frequencies are staying the same, that there's really a number of different scenarios that you can think about. One of them is you might need to make some lifestyle changes. For one thing, just simply not drinking enough water can show up with a lot of red 1s and 9s in the system because there's not the hydration to serve to carry nutrients, to take away waste. There's other things that can be occurring also. If you see those same reds over and over and over, if you're really concerned, then it would be good to go to your primary caregiver and mention the areas that you're concerned about and see if there's something that they would possibly need to diagnose. Remember that those 9s and 1s are educational. They're showing you areas that you can improve in, things that you can look for themes for, and they are just frequency fluctuations between the cells in the body. So it's mainly educational and letting you know what to look for and what to change.
You told me a story earlier, which goes along with the answer you just gave.
Okay.
About a woman that you work with that had or has stage 4 breast cancer. And her scans were showing what?
It was really interesting because this woman had stage 4 diagnosed breast cancer. She was working on multiple levels to work with it, and she came in to do a scan, and the breast tissue was all 5s, perfect frequencies. It was a little disconcerting to her because she's like, well, I know that I have stage 4 breast cancer. Why is this showing this way? And I did a bunch of research on it because it was kind of early in the game after we had first started with the scanner. And what it came down to was her diet, she had made perfect. She wasn't eating any sugar. She was following every suggestion that every naturopath, dietitian had given her. She was seeing chiropractors. She was doing everything that was suggested to help with that tissue. And the frequencies in the tissue had gotten so good that even though the cancer was there, the brain was saying, you got this. The frequencies are at a great place. And sure enough, her doctor reported to her that the cancer was going into remission. So here's another way that you see that the scanner educates you about what's going on in the tissue. It's not going to diagnose what's there. It's going to educate you on how the frequencies are doing and show you what you need to improve in to get those frequencies where they are vibrating at a very healthy place.
Okay, so I love that story, and I also I like what this is leading into because we can go the other way too. What happens when you're doing scans and they're showing areas in the green or 5s are doing well, and then all of a sudden they take a nosedive?
This is where you need to remember that, again, the brain is showing you the frequencies of the area. So let's say that you're somebody, I'm just going to give an example off the top of my head. Let's say you're somebody that is following a keto diet because you want to lose weight, and you've been following it perfectly, you've been losing weight, you've been drinking enough water, and you decide to go on a cruise. And you go for a week, and you eat sugar, and you eat carbs, and you don't sleep enough, and you drink too much alcohol, you're not getting exercise. Well, when you come home, those frequencies that were showing all greens, they may take a nosedive because your brain's going to say, hello, you need to get back on track because we're starting to struggle with some pesticides here, maybe from the food, maybe a few parasites, not enough water, dehydration, tiredness. So then you get back on track and you do the things that you were doing before, and bang, all those nice numbers, nice colors come right back again.
That's perfect. So what would you say to someone who is showing a large number of parasites that are off? They're out.
I hear that all the time. Quite frankly, it's one of the areas that a lot of my clients kind of freak out about, because they'll show that they have 15 of them, 20 of them, whatever. And what I remind them is that what they're seeing, because it's educational, it can be cellular memory of a parasite from a long time ago. The brain remembers seeing a signature like that. It can be something that's developing. They went and ate sushi on Friday night, and the brain sees that, ooh, there might have been some parasites in their food. It's just a frequency that's developing. It can be residual damage. Maybe somebody had a bad case of malaria or something years ago, and it actually caused damage to the tissue that's still there. Well, they don't have the malaria now, but when it comes up malaria, it's because the brain sees that at some point those frequencies cause damage to the tissue. So there's any number of scenarios. The other one could be you have an itty-bitty little parasite, teeny little one that the brain's registering frequencies for, but because there's so many millions of parasites, we don't have all the signatures in our database. But your brain sees that that little itty-bitty parasite looks like the same frequency sort of as a great big frequency for a 16-foot-long tapeworm. So you get the report that says you got the tapeworm, you don't have the tapeworm. I mean, some people might, but chances are that it's just the brain picking out a frequency that looks similar. And there again, it could have been that parasite in the past. It could have been that that parasite died and there's residual toxins. It could be that it's developing. There's all kinds of scenarios. So what do you do?
Okay, and so and here's where I would say, Deborah, looking at the report as a whole rather than just a microscopic issue, you've got to look at the whole report to see what's in and out.
Exactly. And you also have to just, there again, make some lifestyle changes that help with that. Do some things that can cleanse parasites, do some changes possibly in diet. Just do whatever you can do to start actually working with the theme that you're seeing in your reports.
Oh, that's wonderful. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Okay, in a comprehensive scan, tell me about what does a 1 represent, what does a 9 represent?
Good question.
That comes up a lot. Think of your 5 as ideal. And then think of, as you move frequency-wise away from 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, that you're getting into something that is possibly more of an acute issue that's causing frequencies that show developing possible inflammation. And then on the other side, 4, 3, 2, 1, think of that as something that a 1 would be more of a chronic issue, and that moving away from 5 shows that that area has a little less energetic function. Now here's the thing, you can have a place in the body that has 9s and 1s, because think of it, if you had a kidney that had possibly had an infection or something, it would show frequencies for inflammation, but at the same time, if it's been developing for quite a while, it could also have reduced function. So think of your 5 as ideal, and 1 and 9 isn't big and small, it's just moving towards acute or moving towards chronic. And that'll help you understand a lot more about your report.
Great question, great answer.
All right, I want to talk a little bit about the new body system scan. Okay, can I tell you a little story?
Sure.
I had this, something that I had to take care of last week. And as I was thinking over my day and all of the things that I had to do, I thought, I need to pass this off to somebody. But as I was thinking about passing it off, I thought, well, but I really need to be the one that is doing it, okay? And so I moved on from that, and then I ended up doing a body system scan probably 30 minutes after this, okay? And one of the emotional responses that came up, something I had never seen, it said delegation conflict.
Okay.
Okay, hilarious. Dead on, never seen that before, haven't seen it since, but isn't that interesting that right when I was trying to decide who I could pass this project to and then deciding maybe I just need to keep it, I had delegation conflict. So that's one. So I could trace that back and I could understand where that came from. But I have things that show up on my scan all the time that make no sense. For example, shyness. Do you think I'm shy, Deborah?
No.
Okay, so why does my scan say shyness?
Well, and Loran can talk more about this, but in the inner voice, there's a range of shyness. And the range can go as far away from shyness as being more like you are a lot of the time. And then it can also be that somebody's very, very shy. So somewhere in there, there's a balance that you need to find with it. The other possibility is there are times when somebody in our life has that quality, and the very emotion of them being very shy, we wish we could help them out of that shyness. We want to encourage them, and it actually can affect our emotions when we're around them because we just wish that we could help them in some way.
That makes sense.
And you know, the thing is sometimes it's somebody really close to us, like a sibling or a child or a spouse, and we're sensing some of their emotions. And that could have been that with your child or with anybody that's in your life at that point in time. So looking at your inner voice and your emotionals is, I think, one of the most important parts of the scanner, is looking at those emotions and trying to put them back in balance. So with that, with you or with anybody, it really is a range of, are you really shy if it's you? Or are you overcompensating and you're the opposite of that? Or is it somebody that's in your life that's affecting that emotion? So,
you know, I love that explanation, actually. When I think back over the scans that I've done, I've been dealing with some situations with some family members in my life, and some of the things that they are experiencing and going through, I'm not personally experiencing, but I am
at an emotional level
with them. So it didn't make sense to me why some of those emotions were showing up in my scan, because I'm not feeling that, but they are.
Yeah.
And I'm feeling it with them, maybe.
You're attached.
Or yeah.
They had a question about a supplement that they had put. They kept coming up when they were doing their scan. And Deborah and I, we talked about this earlier, did you?
Yeah.
And I think we're going to put it up on the screen so you can read it. We want you to understand, we appreciate more than you know when you send this stuff in, because there's other people, like when you have a question, guaranteed there's a whole lot of others that have a question that's either similar to that or been asking the same thing. This one was about why a supplement would come up when you would think it would be for something else. You want to address that right here? And it's up on your screen to where you can see that.
Yeah. In looking at it, it was the homeopathic form.
It was the homeopathic, right.
So it's important to realize that the homeopathic form of something has energy vibrations in it that can help with various things in the body. Now, the particular thing that came up, if the person had taken it as an herbal actual tincture with the actual herbs, it could have been dangerous because they were newly pregnant. However, when we researched what the energetic forms of the herbs were, that were what she came up for energetically, those energetic form of the herbs would actually be able to help with different things like fibromyalgia, chronic inflammation, different things that she might have been experiencing since she had gotten pregnant. So what the brain was doing was looking at the signature of the homeopathic as far as what the frequencies of it were, and seeing parts of those frequencies that could be used for things that she was experiencing, but the brain at the same time recognizes that there's nothing about those frequencies that is going to hurt that baby that's developing, because it's only picking out the frequencies that can be used on an energetic level, and they're also safe, tolerable, and effective.
And that's great. And the thing is, remember, homeopathics have no chemistry. There's no chemical or herbal structure in there. It's the frequency, so you don't have the risk of ingesting something that could potentially hurt you or
It was
the
a
baby.
very good question.
Yeah, it was a great question. Great question.
Okay, thanks for bringing that up, because that did need to be addressed.
Thanks.
So Deb, thanks for being on today. We look forward to hearing you on phase 1.
I'm excited about it.
We're gonna get hours with her. You're gonna get hours with her, and we're just blown away by everything that she knows and that she shares and teaches us. So.
And I'd just like to repeat what Loran just said. Don't ever be afraid of asking a question. There's never a foolish question. The other thing you have to appreciate is there's a lot of new people using their scanner every week, and a lot of them haven't heard the answers before. So even if it's repeat questions, repetition for emphasis, it deserves to be addressed and said again. So please keep the questions coming in. It helps us a lot.
And phase 1 is coming soon, very quickly, and you want to make sure that you're ready for it. Before you go into phase 1, though, guys, you got to remember, you got to do your basic training. Get in and understand your device, understand the software before you jump into phase 1. So make sure that you get your basic training behind you. Don't you think that's going to be helpful?
Yeah, absolutely.
So get basic training done in the next week or so if you haven't already got it done, and then you'll be ready for phase 1.
Should we tell them the date of phase 1?
Do it.
December 1st.
December 1st.
Yay.
December 1st. Phase 1 is here. So, all right. Well, thank you, everyone.
Yep.
Good night.